r/Nosleep. Posted by you/ArmchairDetectives. Our town made a strict list of ordinances for trick-or-treating this year. We should have obeyed all of them. To the citizens of Lone Tree, from the City Council. Halloween is nearly upon us, and with the recent spike in cases relating to the pandemic, we are taking extra measures to protect each other this season. Below you will find a list of do's and don'ts for anyone who participates in trick-or-treat this year. Remember, you can enjoy this in any neighborhood the week before the big spook. We appreciate your full cooperation with these ordinances. All children should be accompanied by a responsible adult and wear appropriate costumes. Children should wear face masks, but not obscure themselves beyond recognition. Children must wear a costume to receive any candy. If you see a child wandering your neighborhood unaccompanied, contact local law enforcement and stay with the child until they have arrived. Do not trick-or-treat on Calhoun Boulevard after 7 p.m. Please make sure to knock 4 times on doors at the Indigo Courts apartments. Remember not to share any candy with children who are wearing costumes without eyes. Any music coming from under the street should be reported. Try to avoid going back the way you came on Delray Street. There is construction in the area. Haunted house curfew is at 11 p.m. If you encounter any flickering lights, immediately leave the area or ask the house owner for permission to stay inside until the lights have disappeared. No cars should be parked near Town Square between the hours of 10 p.m. to midnight. St. Celeste Park is closed and don't let anyone tell you differently. Take account of who is in your group. And of course, have fun. Are you fucking serious? It's gotta be a joke, I told Gracie as we snatched the flyer off the sliding glass door of the Spirit Halloween store. I had just spent the last part of my monthly allowance and the entire afternoon searching to buy her an Elsa costume when we saw it. As I took a snapshot of the list and sent it across my friends' Instagram accounts, I told her to grab her bag and follow me across the parking lot. I was not looking forward to trick-or-treating with my 11-year-old sister. But it was either that or finish up the mountain of homework I was given from my online classes. So I thought I was picking the lesser of two evils. Reading this list of rules made me wonder if maybe I had made the wrong choice. You never could be sure if the people who ran our little town were being funny or serious when it came to ordinances like this. I'm sure if we stick close to the house we won't even have to worry about following those, I told her. Gracie wasn't satisfied. This year had been a slew of bad luck for her, first the move and then being kicked out of school because of the pandemic. She had been forced to repeat her grade because of the mess. Halloween was supposed to be a highlight. And these stupid rules didn't sound like fun at all. We won't even need to remember half of them, I reassured her. But I was wrong about that. That night, she went all out with her costume. She loves Minions. Adores them. Unhealthily, really, but she was so excited. It would be an understatement to say I was a little frustrated that she didn't bother opening the one I bought her, but I held back. We left with her dancing in her homemade Minion Harley Quinn costume, and headed out to meet 3 of her friends. We stopped by a few houses on the way. Trick or treat. A smile lit on the masked man's face. His eyes gave it away. What are you supposed to be? He was looking at her hair. Minion Quinn. She jumped up. He threw a quick smile and dropped a Twix in her pumpkin basket, then quickly closed the door. We headed down the street, checking out the little Frankenstein's monster walking alongside us. We couldn't see his face, but it was nice. Enjoying the spooky season, just the 3 of us. We met up with her friends down by Calhoun Boulevard. One was dressed as a ghost, another as a werewolf. They all seemed to adore her costume. Imagining the smile on her face lit up mine, and we were off. The night was off to a great start really. The street was decorated well, with cobwebs covering massive bushes, corpses sprawled along the curb. They seemed like the type of neighborhood to sync their lights to Christmas music. The first house had an ancient knocker, with archaic-looking windows. The knock resonated through the house, increasing in volume each echo. A man in a ski mask opened the door. Trick or treat. They chanted in unison, breaking the awkward silence that hid the man's gaze. Well, I guess I'd prefer a treat, he beckoned, handing over handfuls of candy. Score. They jumped in unison. They seemed ecstatic to have such a haul. The 6 of us kept heading down the street, where the handfuls kept getting larger. We didn't really keep track of time. But it seemed darker than it should have been. A frigid breeze blew through the neighborhood, making our costumes flutter to match our insides, and I couldn't help but to start shuddering. There was a growing sense of unease about the evening. Does any of us have a phone? I squeaked hopefully. I knew damn well that Gracie didn't have one, and mine was at 5% when I walked out of our front door. But I was hoping our silent companion had come more prepared. They were by themselves after all. Surely there would be someone at home waiting for them. My sister and I looked at the Frankenstein monster expectantly. He lifted his hand, palm up in response, as if expecting something of his own. Quid pro quo, if you will. I froze in confusion, becoming increasingly irritated that this was taking so long. Gracie, however, didn't hesitate. She reached her small hand into her bag, and pulled out a mini Hershey's chocolate bar. The wrapper was decorated with a gravestone, the name Rigor Mortis carved into its face. I stopped her as she went to hand it to him. "Take off your mask first, please," I insisted. "I'll give you all the Hershey bars you want, but you gotta take your mask off first." "Mike, no!" Gracie shouted. "If he takes his mask off, it's against the rules. It said so on that paper." "No. It said that all kids have to be dressed in costume," I reminded her. "Besides, if it's past 7 o'clock, we've already fucked up." Her face fell at my choice of words, which made me feel guilty but was also annoyingly adorable. The other kid that had joined us seemed to resist my request, and I sighed and remarked, "Look, take off the mask or I'm calling the cops." This time he complied, but it wasn't what I anticipated at all. From beneath the mesh material, 100 tiny dark insects skittered out of his eyes and mouth, causing Gracie to scream and run toward the nearest house. I watched in confusion and horror for a long second as I scrambled to follow her, the door opening without us even bothering to knock. I slammed the door shut behind me and leaned against it. My chest heaved desperately as I struggled to catch my breath. The lights started to dance and flicker with every inhalation. "Gracie, we need to get out of here," I wheezed as I spun around. The foyer was empty. A surge of anxiety shot through my nerves. I stumbled forward in desperation, hoping Gracie was in the adjacent room. "Gracie!" I hollered to no response. She couldn't have run far. The house was an old 2-story Victorian. I doubt it had more than a dozen rooms. "Hello?" I shouted, "Is anyone here?" "You didn't ask permission," an elderly voice groaned from the darkness. "You must ask for permission." "Something weird is going on outside," I explained as I entered the dimly lit living room. "I don't mean to intrude. I'm just trying to find my sister." An ancient-looking man lumbered up from a patchy leather recliner. He had a skeletal frame punctuated by an enormous potbelly. His dry, blistered skin hung so far off his bones, it looked like it could drip right off. He was completely nude, save for a clumpy adult diaper that looked like it hadn't been changed in days. "You must ask for permission." He pointed a yellowed, shit-crusted fingernail in my direction. "Hey man," I said I was sorry. "Just let me find my sister, and I'll be on my way. You can call the cops if you want, but I'm not leaving without her." "You must ask for permission, you 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 must ask for permission," he repeated in a monotone voice as he wobbled toward me. I stumbled backward, tripping over my own feet in clumsy distress. He was on top of me before I could even react. He pinned both of my arms to the wooden floorboard with such ferocity, I thought they'd snap in half. "You must ask for permission." His hot, wet breath fogged against my bare face. His fingernails made a wet pop as they slid free from his fingertips, overwhelmed by the excruciating force they were applying. I squirmed and struggled, failing to free myself from his inhuman grasp. He slid a swollen, pus-covered tongue from his mouth and licked the side of my cheek. My skin tingled at the hot sensation of slime. "Please." I wiggled my legs, feeling his humid diaper burst apart on my thighs. "Just let me go." "You must ask," he grinned, "for permission." The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. "May we please hide in your house until the lights stop flickering?" I screamed. His sweaty, cracked body creaked in protest as he pushed himself off me without saying a word and sauntered back into his recliner, acting as if nothing happened. "Mikey?" I heard Gracie's voice call from just beyond the living room. I wasted no time in running past the man and into the kitchen behind him. "Gracie?" I called out. I heard a giggle behind the pantry door. "You gotta come find me." Gracie peeked out, her Elsa mask covering her face. "Gracie, this isn't a time for games. We have to get out of here." I grabbed her hand and raced back outside. But we were no longer in the same neighborhood. Nothing seemed the same as it had been when we entered the house. The streets were empty and barren, torn apart by war. The sky seemed stormy, dangerous. There was a massive cloud of dark energy slowly moving through a house, like a living tornado tearing everything in its path. It made this low growl that reminded me of the sound of an air siren. Then I realized the noise was actually coming from under our feet. The ground itself seemed to glow and shake. All I could think to do was run. As we did leave the main streets, I heard a low groan from the nearby houses. Children were slowly emerging from doorways, seemingly enthralled by the strange warbling noise. They were coming after us, I realized. "Come on, into the park," I told Gracie. "No. We can't," she insisted. But I didn't give a damn about another rule. We had to hide. As we pushed through the hedges, I told her to crouch down and I surveyed the sidewalks for any more zombie children. The air was quiet again and I let out a sigh of relief. "We should probably get home, Gracelyn," I told her. I turned to see her back turned to me, chowing down on the candies she had received like it was her last supper. "Hey! Calm down, we can eat all that when we get home," I told her as I turned her toward me. The face I saw was not my sister. Her eyes were jet black and her skin was covered in what looked like leather. Her teeth razor sharp like a shark. And her costume covered in chocolate and blood. "What the fuck? Gracie?" I said as I pulled away from her. "I'm not Gracie," the cryptid-looking creature snarled as it tried to snap at my hand. I tumbled backward and ran from the park, too terrified to even consider where to go. I saw the children swarming together like a horde, led by the bug-faced Frankenstein monster as I ran toward Calhoun Boulevard. I looked back, expecting to see them keep coming. But the neighborhood had changed again to one I was familiar with. I had made it home. I ran straight home and locked the door. I don't think I slept a wink that night. And in the morning I was sure to face a barrage of questions from my parents. I didn't know how I was going to explain that I had lost my little sister. Much to my surprise though, I saw her sitting at the breakfast table eating alphabets playfully. "Hey! Are you okay?" I asked, not even sure if the events of the previous night were real. "I'm fine, Mikey. A nice man helped me home after you ditched me at that haunted house," she responded. "Wait. So we did get separated," I realized as I hazily remembered the other girl had an Elsa costume on. In the heat of the moment I hadn't noticed. "Yeah. Where did you go anyway?" she asked with a giggle. "Not sure, to be honest. Just glad that we're okay," I told her. I poured myself a bowl of cereal and turned on the TV to hear morning news about missing children from the night before. Photographs were shown and I recognized some of the ones we had met. Then the screen flickered and showed our own pictures. Haunting words flashed across the screen. "Soon to be missing." "Mikey, what does that mean?" Gracie asked as the screen returned to normal. I swallowed hard and reassured her everything was fine. But I'm not so sure it is. I have a feeling that whatever we experienced that night, it's far from over.